Heaven's Journey to Life, Judgment Day, Day 14. In this post, we're continuing with and expanding on the creation of the experience of energy as negativity, neutrality, positivity, as walked from our previous post, Day 13. Within this, we'll have a look at the dimension of what this acceptance and allowance of creating and manifesting negativity, neutrality, and positivity says about the nature of ourselves as being, and what we have become and created from what we have become through negativity, neutrality, and positivity, and the consequences of this becoming and creation of ourselves as experiences of negativity, neutrality, and positivity for ourselves and our creations of relationships throughout time that had become the mind of each individual and this physical existence with and as all of humanity, nature, the animal kingdom, earth, etc. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how the moment I accept and allowed myself to separate me, stand in opposition to, towards me, as all as me, within and as substance, which in that moment created, manifested friction, that very nature of that friction manifestation was negative in nature based on the very action of and as my accepted and allowed self-separation from of the equality and oneness with and as all as substance. In this, manifesting me into and as a relationship equation, to towards all as me, within and as existence as separation, opposition equals friction equals negativity. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how my relationship equation, to towards all as me, in and as that moment of accepted and allowed separation as opposition, manifested as friction of and as negativity, stands within the nature of judgment, where I accepted and allowed myself to position myself within and as the point of judge of me and judge of all, deliberately positioning myself into and as judge status, in and as judgment to towards all as me. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how, in that moment of perceiving myself as a singularity from the whole, I judged me in relation to all as me, judging me as a singularity, individual from of the whole, where for me to continue existing as a singularity, individual from of the whole, I had to judge me in relation to my judgment of as the whole as me. And so all my relationship creations from negativity, neutrality to positivity towards myself and towards all as me stood within and as the nature of and as judgment of me through judging all as me. And in that judgment, categorizing and defining my judgments to towards all as me, to judge me, my experiences, within and as the categorization of experiences as negativity, neutrality, and positivity. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how, in my accepted and allowed self-separation from the whole into and as a singularity through opposition, manifested as friction, that moment of separation, I am still a part of the whole as I emerge from and of the whole. And for me to perceive myself as a singularity from of the whole, I had to judge the whole as being the whole and judge me as being the singularity. Thus, the moment of judgment went both ways, judging me in relation to the whole and judging the whole in relation to me. In this, I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to, in that moment of judgment of me and all as me, see me as a small in the existence of the greater, but at the same time perceiving this relationship within the context of me as the small, having the greater at my feet to serve me into and as becoming a me, where I accepted and allowed myself to give myself a godly status within and as existence, as though existence was here to serve me and only me. Instead of me serving with as all as me, in and as equality and oneness, the food of life as ourselves, as we live, express, create the abundance of and as life itself as ourselves, and give to all as ourselves the food of life as living. But I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to instead, in this relationship to towards all as me, become a devouring parasite that would abuse that what is here within and as existence as myself to only nurture, feed, sustain my own survival within and as my own life for my own living, that had become the manifestation, nature, and creation of my mind and the manifestation of the world system of money in and as this physical existence. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that my moment of separation was a judgment towards me and a judgment towards all as me. Where in that moment of separation, as opposition manifested into and as friction, as negativity, I gave myself the right to judge me and to judge all as me. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how, in that moment of judgment of me and judgment to towards all as me, positioning myself into and as separation from and of all as me as a singularity within the whole, I, in that moment of giving myself the right to judge, abdicated and gave up my right to life. That for me to have the right to judge, I had given up the right to life. Because life, as equality and oneness, inequality and oneness, there exists no separation, no judgment of any part towards and with all parts. And thus, in my separation, I manifested me into and as judge of me and judge of all as me, as the positioning of me into and as absolute separation from and of all as me. And so, instead of being life, I became a judge that sentenced myself into and as eternal consequence instead of being eternal life living. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how I was within my equality and oneness, within as substance, as all of me, creation itself as God itself. But in my accepted and allowed act of separation, manifesting me into and as singularity from and of the whole, I gave up creation, I gave up life, I gave up me as God, and so God as creation itself, of as equality and oneness, fell from the heaven as equality and oneness into and as eternal damnation, as each as myself damned ourselves, as sentencing ourselves into and as eternal consequence from and of accepting and allowing myself as all to separate ourselves from ourselves as all. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how I have abdicated God, life, and became the devil, consequence, unto and as myself, and all as me within and as existence. That I had manifested myself into and as the absolute duality of God, devil, where I, as the devil, the manifestation, D, of evil, as the reverse of life, evil equals live. Constantly and continuously reverse life of and as equality and oneness as manifested substance into and as experience as energy through and as friction, where with every moment of friction, I transform substance of and as equality and oneness into and as experience, categorized, manifested, separated into and as energy of and as negativity, neutrality, and positivity, where instead of me existing as God, creation, of as equality and oneness, I have reversed God, life, as living into and as the devil, consequence, through transforming substance of and as equality and oneness into and as vibrations, as manifested experiences of and as energy, categorized and separated into and as negativity, neutrality, and positivity. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to abdicate, denounce me as God, creation, life, of and as equality and oneness, within and as the moment of separation, becoming the devil, evil, consequence, where I, in that moment of accepted and allowed separation, reversed me as life to evil. With live, the expression of and as creation itself as God, and evil, the reverse of living, as whatever I would become within and as that evil as reverse of live, of and as life, would be stand in absolute opposition to towards that I would have been if I had lived. And so We stand here in creation as this physical existence that had become the total opposite, stands in total opposite to and as what life, as the life of and as equality and oneness was supposed to have been. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand how each within and as this existence as me had become evil unto themselves and two towards all, where each as all as me, as with myself, had reversed ourselves from live to evil. And in this accepted and allowed starting point, manifested ourselves individually and together into and as separation, as opposition, manifested as friction into and as energy of and as negativity. Where separation is opposition, that act is what we had done, and in that doing is what we had become. The manifested opposition as reverse to and as all as ourselves, in and as equality and oneness. And as we had become that very separation, that very opposition, that very reverse of and as ourselves, we within and as the principle of and as what and who you are, you create, manifest. We created this existence as it exists today, individually and together, within and as the nature of and as what we had done and become as separation, opposition, as manifested reverse of and as life, live, as what we had always supposed to have been, done, become. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that God, life, equality, and oneness cannot be seen within and as this physical existence, through and as the physical eyes of and as the human being, but that what can be seen within and as this physical existence, through and as the physical eyes of and as the human being is the devil as evil, as the reverse of what life living was supposed to have been. That the evidence is here within and as the nature of and as the human being, as the mind. The evidence is here as the nature of and as this physical existence. The evidence is here as the nature of and as the world system of money. We have become the devil as the reverse of life living, and accordingly created the manifestation D of and as evil, as the manifested reverse of and as life, as ourselves, and our creation as ourselves within and without. In this, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to create, manifest me into and as the reverse of and as life, as evil, where instead of living in and as equality and oneness, with and as all as me, as life, as creation itself, as God, here, I approached creation from within and as the starting point of as me in separation, creating in reverse, creating through, from within me, as a singularity manifested separation towards the without as me, as the whole, instead of me creating through and with, living with me in and as equality and oneness, with and as all as me. And so my creation process emerged from the within as me to the without as me, reversing how it should have been as, with, here, in and as equality and oneness. In this, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to, with my creation process being reversed, where I perceived that I was the one and only creator of me, and existence was at my service. I created me into and as the delusion of and as a creator God. And yes, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that I was a creator in the sense of creating only me within and as only myself in and as separation from and of all as me. But this me as creator within and as myself had only become a God unto myself, in myself, where I was supposed to have been God as life, as creator within as all, in as equality and oneness. So in myself, I had thus become but a minute version, but a refracted reflection as a piece from the mirror of and as existence, as the totality of and as me, in and as equality and oneness, and so became a God in a limited creation of and as only me within myself that had become my mind consciousness system manifest. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to create a me instead of creating as living with and as all as me and as equality and oneness. And in creating this me as singularity from and of the whole, did not see, realize, and understand the consequence of and as creating only a me in and as the moment of accepting and allowing myself to deliberately separate me from and of the we as me, as I reverse the we into and as a me, literally. And within that accepted and allowed reversal as me from we, I reversed me as live into and as evil, from equality and oneness to separation, from right to life, to right to judgment. And so I became the existence evil as judge of me and judge of all, that would create, manifest the separation as evil, as reverse of life. I have accepted and allowed myself to be become through creating relationships within and as the judgment of me, as substance, into and as vibrations, experiences categorized in and as energies of and as negativity, neutrality, and positivity, that would become the method I use as reverse of life, as evil, to create me equal to and one with what I had done and become. Separation as evil, as the reverse of life, live as equality and oneness. In this, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to, in my accepted and allowed separation, create me as evil instead of with and as all, as equality and oneness, as life, live. And in this created me as consequence, as hell, instead of heaven, here in and as existence, as me, an existence where all our life and living in and as absolute equality and oneness eternally. That instead of creating eternal life that can only be here through and as all as me, standing, being, living as life, as equality and oneness, we as individuals and together created eternal death, where what is certain, what has become certain within this existence is death instead of life. We will continue with this point within the next post to come. I commit myself to, through writing, self-forgiveness, self-corrective application, transform my starting point of me from self-judgment and judgment of and as all as me, that I had manifested within and as the relationships of and as negativity, neutrality, and positivity, to be standing equal to and one with all my relationships of me and all as me. In this, I stop judgment, to in through stopping judgment, realize, see, understand that equality and oneness that is always has been here, but could not see, realize, understand because I had accepted and allowed myself to separate me from and of all as me and position myself into and as a judge, judging me and all as me. And in that judgment, judge status, did not have the ability to see, realize, understand the equality and oneness here with and as all as me. I realize, see, understand that if I do not stop this accepted and allowed judgment of and as me, to towards all as me, that has become manifest as my relationships of as energy, as negativity, neutrality, and positivity, that I will not be able to, in fact, stand up and stand within life as equality and oneness. Because in and as equality and oneness, there exists no judgment as manifested separation of and as relationships as negativity, neutrality, and positivity. And therefore, within this, I commit myself to stop separation, stop the relationships of and as negativity, neutrality, and positivity that has become my mind manifest as stopping me as judgment, manifest and stand with and as an agreement with me and with all, in and as equality and oneness, to stand equal to and one with me, my words, my living, my physical and this physical existence as me. I commit myself to reverse me from evil to live through assisting and supporting myself with writing, self-forgiveness, and self-corrective application, as stopping my accepted and allowed manifested separation that had become my mind within as the automated system that create, manifest, and perpetuate my separation through relationships of negativity, neutrality, and positivity, as constant, continuous judgment towards myself and all as me. And as I walk in this commitment within and as myself, I equally as one walk this commitment in and as the without as myself, as I reverse the world system of and as money that has become the evil manifest, equal to and one with the evil I had become, where instead of the world system giving life to and as all as equality and oneness, manifests death as taking, owning the very lives of and as all within and as this physical existence for its own profit, gain, greed. And so I commit myself to reverse this world system from manifesting death to giving life, represented by and through the equal money system. I commit myself to, as I reverse me from evil to live, from my mind into and as the physical of and as equality and oneness, I stand as a living example, walking my process of and as writing self-forgiveness and self-corrective application as the keys to the processes of reversing self from evil to live. And so all may stand together and walk together, as each must take this responsibility onto themselves, as each walk their own processes of and as reversing themselves from live to evil. And so it is equally as one, each one's responsibility to reverse themselves from evil to live. And so as I walk as a living example, sharing my process, I assist and support others as me in showing them the way, the method, the keys to stand equal to and one with me as live. And eventually, as we all stand as live, as equality and oneness as life, we can finally create as with what is here, as heaven on earth, the physical existence as substance manifest, as we have walked ourselves to our own salvation from the hell we had individually and together damned ourselves to within ourselves in this existence as ourselves.